Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make vertical columns. You'll see vertical columns in the drawings that were shared with you right here in the center. All of these are vertical, or if you're doing one of the straight skeleton buildings, then you're also going to have vertical columns on the side. But unless you're doing the diagrid system, we'll be going over slanted columns in a different video. But both groups will need to know how to do the center vertical columns. So let's get started. Alright, so we have our level 1 and we have our elevations from made in the past video. So we're going to start by going to the structure tab, click column. You're going to want to do a W shape column, but we don't know what size yet, so I can pick one of these at random, but when you figure out the right size column needed, it might not be one of these, so I'm going to show you how to pull up a different type. So you can go to load family, structural columns, steel, I want wide flange, and I don't know what type, so let's call it a 12 by 40. This is probably not the right column. This is just an example. You're going to need to find out the right size on your own later on with calculations. So I'm just going to place it here along the grid lines. I'm going to exit out because what I want to do first is you'll see the space level, base offset, top level, and top offset. Now I want this going to the very top floor, which in this sketch is the 10th floor. So it's at level 10 with a 0 offset, and then I want to go to level 1. I want to change that from -9 to 0. And I click apply. So now if I go to the south elevation, you'll see, yep, that column going all the way from the top to the bottom. So let's go back to level 1. And I want to have this column at each of these grid lines. There's a few different ways you can do it. You can keep placing the grid lines at every node, or we can do an array. It really doesn't matter. I'm just gonna show you. Actually, I think this time I'm just gonna click it because I've been doing a lot of arrays already, and sometimes having to ungroup them all can be a little tedious. So I'm just gonna go back to column. You can definitely still do this with an array or copy paste or whatever you want. It really doesn't matter. Arrays can be quicker, but sometimes you have to ungroup them all. That can take a while too. It's really just personal preference. There aren't too many nodes here to begin with, so it's not super time consuming anyway. And since we already have the grid lines drawn, it doesn't take long at all. And there we go. Now all the columns are placed. Let's check our elevation. And oh, that didn't copy over. So we go back to level 1. Select all of them. We want to go to filter just to confirm that we only clicked on the columns. Then we're going to go back, top elevation, click level 10. We want them at 0, apply. Now if we go to south, yes, they're all at the top. And another way to check this is we can go to 3D views, analytical model. You can click on this little thing here to move it around. We can also do that little house up there. That'll give you the default 3D view. And yes, that shows all the columns. We don't have any other beams or floors yet, so all we would see is those columns. So that's how we know that they're all right, they're all in the right dimensions. So 3D view, you wouldn't want to rely on it too much, but it can be helpful just to make sure everything looks right. Now, if you are doing the diagrid building, this is probably all you need to see in this video. But if you are doing the straight skeleton system, you can keep watching, because I'm just going to place the rest of these columns around the perimeter of the building. But these are going to be vertical, so I'm going to click column. I'm going to choose a different type of column just so we can tell them apart. I'm just going to load family. Structural column, steel, wide flange, maybe I'll do this one different. Maybe I'll make this 14 by 30 for no particular reason. Okay, and these columns I'm just going to do an array to show you how it will work. I'm going to change this to level 10. And yeah, 0 elevation, level 1, 0, apply. Since we're doing an array with these, we know that they're all going to be the same properties afterwards. We won't have to redo it. So click on it, click array. Okay, so I don't know what that was, but I don't think it affects anything. So that needs to be 7. We want each of these to be 20 feet. And now we want to do the perimeter of these. So one thing we can do is we can do a mirror. So I'm going to click all these columns and I'm going to click mirror, pick axis. So now I'm going to click the grid line that is in between all of these. So that would be grid line D. And there you go, right at the bottom is all of the columns. And I can do the same thing here. Make sure it's the 14 by 30. Let's do another array. We want 4 of these now because we already have the ones at the very corners. Actually, that's 5. And there we go. Now we have each of those. And again, we will do mirror, pick axis. Well, first we gotta click all these columns. Then mirror, pick axis. Do the same thing, click grid line 4 this time. And there we go, now all the columns are mirrored. But we will have to ungroup all these if you want to use different colors later on. And I think it's just neater this way, because sometimes arrays can get a little fidgety later on if you want to edit something. Can you see when you click on these, it'll say array group 1 or array group 4. It won't give you any column properties. So if you want to access the column, have easier access to the column properties, that's why you're going to want to group one of all these, or one of the reasons. So we can do select all to make sure there's no diagonal boxes, make sure we got rid of all of the groups. And yeah, it looks like I made a mistake earlier. I made these 14 by 30, but I forgot to change these. So, but that's an easy fix. I just select all. I click that box, change it to 14 by 30. Do the same thing with the bottom here. 14 by 30. And just checking all of these. These are 14 by 30. These are 12 by 40. Again, there's no reason. They aren't the correct dimensions, but it's a good way to separate all of them in your mind. Just know that they will be different columns when it's a different building. And we can check them again in our 3D view. And oh, yeah, good thing we did the 3D view because we did not have the correct height for each of these columns right here. So let's go back. Same process. Level 10. Once you get the hang of Revit, it doesn't take long. It can just be, fixing, errors, mostly knowing how to fix the errors. Let's try 3D view again. And there we go. All of the columns are the same height in the same place. And this is how you would start your building, no matter if it's like your building is 20 feet or 37 or 20 floors or 37 floors, it'll be the same process. And that is how you create vertical columns.